He probably hates Trump almost as much as Melania hates him. I think so. You got to tell people, "Fuck you." Right. I can't be canceled. They've tried to fucking cancel me 10 times. I'm very biased. Yeah. Mark Carney's a very close personal friend of mine. Some of them probably like me, and some of them probably think I'm a dick. Can't be censored as a success because you're bringing people on that are real and authentic. Beige don't age. You can use that, by the way. You don't have to give me any credit for it.
He's not beige.
I'm like mocha.
Well,
you can cuss in this too, by the way, because it's like we cuss.
I've never cursed before. This will be my first time. All right, let's go.
We've started the podcast already. So, I was telling you. Thank you for doing this, first of all.
Yes, thank you.
Happy to be here.
You know, we are going to talk about your accomplishments, your long resume. But I was watching this podcast the other day, and you said something that kind of struck me. Be comfortable with your irrelevance. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that's the central essence of Stoicism, is to be comfortable with your irrelevance. You're a nobody, and you're just you're a speck in a. You're sitting on a pale blue dot in the middle of nowhere, circling a minor star, and so you're an absolute nobody, and you'll be dead forever, and no one will remember you, and no one will give a shit that you lived. No one.
It's a very depressing start.
It's a depressing start.
You're going to be nothing.
See, that's the opposite. You got to think of it differently. There's something so liberating about that. There's something so free about that. There's something you've been gifted. If you think about the randomness of the universe, you've been gifted life on planet Earth for a temporary period of time. Yeah. And the good fortune for the three of us is that we were born generally in good places, born generally to good parents. If we weren't, we wouldn't be sitting here in this room. We've had food and health care, and we've had sustenance. And so relax into your life, but relax into your irrelevance. You're like, I'm a nobody.
But have you always felt like that, though? Like, because there's a certain amount of drive that you have to have, right?
If you can get your ego in check, you can transition into that. No, I haven't always felt that. I think when I got my ass kicked hard in the White House, I think it was a big learning lesson for me, and it was a big psychologically liberating. I became a little bit more psychologically minded and a little bit more empathetic to others. And I think I made a lot of egocentric, ego-based decisions in my life that were focused on my relevance and focused on my legacy. But it turns out I don't have a legacy and I don't have any relevance. And the minute that you understand that, the freer you are. This is an optimistic message. It's not a pessimistic message. I think you have to look at your life and say, okay, well, I've been gifted this thing. I'm going to get up today. I'm going to bite the ass off of a bear, and I'm going to get going on my life, and I'm going to have a good time and hopefully serve other people, because I think you are wired, you're evolutionarily wired to be in service of other people. If you can help people during the day, you're going to feel better about yourself and better about your life.
I didn't know he was going to open with that question, but I kind of think the opposite, because we're former journalists. So when and the whole reason, part of the reason I became a journalist was because I thought everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a story, and we want to hear it, and it's important, and everyone has meaning in their life. No, it depends on perspective, right? So I kind of think the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you'll get to, how old are you? I'm not allowed to ask that, right? She's upset. Okay, well, I'm 62.
I have 3 children in my late 40s.
Okay, so when I was in my late 40s, I didn't see it as clearly as I see it today.
Okay.
And what I don't mean irrelevant in the sense that your life isn't important and your children's lives aren't important and your family isn't important. Certainly, all of those things are important. But 10,000 years from now. And please don't be offended by this, no one's going to remember the 3 of us, okay?
No, but you'll mean something to your children. You'll mean something to their children. You'll mean something to someone. You're relevant in some way.
Do you know your great-grandparents? Do you know what they did and who they are?
I do.
Okay, what about your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents? Do you know them?
No.
Okay, see, so you're getting to the point of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your purpose. You have a purpose. You're here on planet Earth and you have a purpose. And hopefully it's to care for your loved ones, your children, have a good time, build this podcast into an amazing podcast. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying recognize, don't take yourself too seriously. You know, Mel Brooks says relax. None of us are getting out of here alive. So don't take yourself that seriously and just relax into your life. And I think you'll find there's a gift in that. That's all.
We got a lot of other things to talk about, but like I do want to ask you.
The two of you are more relevant than me. I'm irrelevant.
Did that take you a while to unwire, like from that kind of ego-driven zone to where you are now?
It's made me more successful.
Yeah.
And weirdly, it's made me more detached on what other people think of me. You know, what other people think of you is really none of your business.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you're a kid or you're growing up, or I was in my mid-40s or late 40s, you look great, by the way. Hopefully, and I say that not offensively. Just God bless you. Taking good care of yourself. I think you look like shit, but I think the two of us look great. But I do think you do look like shit. No, I'm fucking with you. I mean, you look good. All right, but you get the point that I'm making. Like, I didn't have this feeling 15 years ago. I was driven by outward success. I was driven by the need to be somebody. I was driven by legacy.
Right.
And all these things, but it turns out that it's not really what's important. What's important, the battle here on planet Earth, in my opinion, is inside your own mind. I have 5 kids. The battle is inside your own mind. You're a success. You're a beautiful person. You have a great life. Don't externally compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
Get comfortable with yourself. Get comfortable in your own skin. I can't put a ball through a hoop like LeBron James.
Yeah.
You know, I can't invent a rocket like Elon Musk. That's not my role here on Earth. My role here is whatever God or the universe has given me, and my role is I'm a very lucky person because I was born with decent health here in the Northeast of the United States, went to a good public school system and got reasonably well educated. And so for all these things, I should be very grateful.
You talked a little.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, you get the message.
I got.
And by the way, once you see this, my brother, you're going to be like, yeah. And so this podcast will do better once you unplug from that.
Well, I mean,
it will do better.
Listen, I think so. I sat down with Dr. Gabor Mate, and I talked about a whole host of things that I never thought I would want to talk about on camera, right? And it was a freeing experience to kind of just like let go of all the pretense for a while and just kind of be yourself. But I do think there's a certain level, especially with people in the entertainment industry and the news industry, where it's like there's that kind of facade that you got to put up because you think in your head, you know, until a certain age, I guess, that's what you got to do to succeed. Do you see that in your kids?
I think the facade is over. I think Can't Be Censored is a success because you're bringing people on that are real and authentic.
Thanks.
Okay?
Appreciate that.
You can feel my voice.
Yeah.
I'm not coming here with a canned script. I'm not coming here. You can judge me after I leave, and you can say, hey, that was a good guy or that was a shitty guy.
Yeah.
And that's your opinion, okay? But I at least want the people listening, I want them to look at me and say, hey, I got the guy. I didn't get some veneer of the guy. I didn't get some talking points from the guy. I didn't have a PR guy come in and kind of coach and sanitize this guy. I think people that do that are driving themselves crazy. I don't want to do that.
So when people try to, like, if someone's trying to get you, we told a bunch of our colleagues and friends that we were doing this interview. And it's funny because everyone kind of had a different thing they wanted us to ask you about. So, you know.
And some of them probably like me, and some of them probably think I'm a dick,
no, but
right?
No. But here's the thing. It's like someone's like, you got to ask him about Bitcoin, crypto. One of our girlfriends, I love how he talks about his marriage and his children, and he has a podcast with his wife. Yeah. Another guy was like, your podcast about young men.
Yeah.
You do so many different things. Like, what does that all of that speak to you? Like, what drives you to do that?
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. So I mean, let's talk about my marriage. Okay, so I'm married. I'm with Deirdre 16 years. We're married 12. We almost got divorced when I was in the White House. I mean,
I heard about
she
this.
probably hates Trump almost as much as Melania hates him. I mean, that's like a very high standard of hatred because it's like ancestral Eastern European sort of hatred. Yeah. And she knew a lot about him from some of her friends, and she really didn't want me to go work for him, and we were fighting for other reasons, so we were about to get divorced. We reconciled our marriage. We ended up doing a podcast related to that. because I'm a big believer that your relationships shouldn't be transactional, they shouldn't be impermanent, and one thing they should not be, in my opinion, is disposable. So if you love each other and somebody makes a mistake, what are you going to do? That's it? Throw it up in the air? It didn't work out perfectly? No, you got to like work on it, and you got to try to get together.
That's got to be a two-way thing, though.
It's got to be a two-way thing, and like think about when a bone breaks. When a bone breaks, if you can set the bone in the area where the bone broke, it generally gets a lot stronger and more durable. So I would say, and I would say no marriage is perfect, and every marriage is a work in progress, but I would say we're closer today than we were prior to the problems that we were having there. So Deirdre and I did a series of podcasts on that. Let me just finish on this real quickly. So there's a crisis in young men. Do you have sons?
All girls.
We talked to Richard Reeves about this,
Right, so Richard was on our podcast. So Scott Galloway is a friend of mine. He's a very big believer that there's a male crisis going on. So I said, Scott, let's do an 8-part mini-series. We'll bring Richard on. We'll bring others. I brought Deirdre on, brought my wife on, I think she was episode 7, to talk about her lack of self-confidence in raising our sons. And her insecurity, is she doing the right thing? Is she over-helicoptering? Is she doing the right thing? And these are like real conversations. So Scott and I, and mostly because of Scott, we won the Webby this year. So we won the short form Webby. Thank you. But so for me, I'm doing that stuff because I'm at a stage in my career, stage in my life where if I could put that out there and it helps one person, then that's worth the whole thing, right? And then I'm doing another podcast with Novo. Mike Novo, we're going to talk about money because people are confused about their money. And I want to help people with their money because I started with no money. I have a little bit of money today, but it was through discipline and hard work and putting energy into a process. I had a kid come see me. He's making, I don't know, maybe $125,000 a year. And about 3 years ago, I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take 10% of your money, okay, and we're going to put it in the S&P 500. We're going to put it in these different vehicles, okay. It was about 3 years ago. He's got over $150,000 in those funds, and all he did was pay himself first. And now he's starting to see the value of compounding and the discipline that it takes to actually save money and invest money and get other people. Like when you own a share of Disney, you've got tens of thousands of people working for you now. And to think like that, to create this wave of independence. And so for me, I'm at a stage in my career where I want to do that. I want to at least share that. I also want to share with people the disasters I've had. I have no problem with it. I've been fired from the White House. I got fired from my first job at Goldman Sachs. I have one thing in common with JFK Jr. You want to know what that is?
Sure.
I'm definitely not his looks or his height. I mean, the guy was probably one of the best looking guys ever. I failed the bar exam twice. I passed it the third time, but I wasn't, focused on it. I got a little attention deficit disorder. And so I want to talk about this stuff because I want people to be comfortable with their vulnerabilities. I want them to be comfortable with their imperfections, so that they don't have to be overly judgmental. I don't want people getting up in the morning and kicking themselves in the pants, kicking themselves in the pants over their past.
Why do you think failure is important when it comes to learning?
It's brutal. It sucks. It's raw. It's self-conscious. Okay, how about failing publicly? Okay, you ever get your ass lit up by the New York Post on the front page? I mean, how about failing publicly? Okay, how about getting eviscerated in the paper? How about when my Bitcoin exposure blew up during the FTX debacle? There's a caricature of me, I look like Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones, and I'm a little fucking, and I'm sinking in this Bitcoin boat. On the front page of the business
imagine
section.
You're not zen at that point in time, right? Like you're pretty chill about it now, but in the moment,
I'm not even zen. You're never zen. But this is the other thing,
right?
I'm telling you what I'm trying for.
I'm
not telling you what I am. I don't want to come across to any viewer or listener as pedantic or a know-it-all or supercilious. This is an effort that I'm making. I'm probably the most flawed person you've had on your podcast. I don't want to come across pedantic or anything like that. I'm just saying, this is what you got to do. When they were hitting me, you could cry like a baby and you could play the victim. Or you could dust yourself off and make a joke about it and lean in. You know, when Steve Colbert was lighting me up, okay, I got fired after 11 days in the White House.
Yeah.
Colbert lit me up every day. We had cartoons. He called me a Jersey Shore cast member. I think he called me Tony Soprano on the Potomac. I mean, he was picking all these Italian stereotypes, lighting me up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So you get two choices. You can go on the show and face the music with him and laugh about it, or you can cry about it and play the victim. Okay, I would rather laugh about it. I'd rather lean into it. You know, when they invited me on Saturday Night Live, I leaned into it. You know, they were embarrassing the shit out of me. I think there was like an ornament that Alec Baldwin had in his hand. He was putting an ornament with my face on it. It was a very unflattering picture, by the way. And he was putting my face on the tree of Trump hatred, the Christmas tree of Trump hatred. So I asked for the ornament. I got it on my Christmas tree at home. You gotta own your shit, guys. I mean, that's the point, you know.
And is that a lesson?
Don't take yourself that seriously.
Teach your kids? Like, are your kids?
Can't teach them that.
Learning that now in terms
You have to let them fail.
Do you let your kids fail?
Yeah.
You can't teach kids. They don't listen to shit. Okay, I have 5 kids. They don't listen to anything. The only thing you can do with your kids is you can act. They will observe your actions, and hopefully, if you're a good person or well-intended, some of those good actions will wear off on them. You know what I mean? It's like also you got, you know, like my dog, I think, has changed my kids' lives because, you know, when your kids see you caring for your dog, or the dog's not feeling well and you're taking them to the vet and you're bringing the kid with you, they see the compassion, you know. But you can't teach kids anything. If I tell my kids to do A, they'll do Z. Yeah. If I tell my kids to do Z, they may do M. I don't know what they're going to do. You know, you know this. You have kids.
Yeah.
Your friends wanted to talk about the marriage then, huh?
Or like Bitcoin. We just got a bit of everything.
Right.
Astrology.
I want to talk about the boys
stuff,
stuff. I find that interesting.
We
talked to
time
Richard
with you.
Reeves. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We don't have
like I was
time.
sitting here and I'm like, there's so many things that he's saying that I want to talk about.
We're struggling because we're, you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have the social media, so life was exciting. You waited for the magazine to come. You waited for the package of baseball cards. Now we're like, we're doing this all day. Get off the phone, man. Get off the phone. Okay, this is not helping you. You could do this for 2 hours. Okay, that's not going to help your life. It's also shrinking your brain. Get off the phone.
Look,
you know, Galloway's like, go get drunk and ask a chick out. You know,
so
we're not allowed to do that anymore. Like if I say you look great, I mean I'm sexually harassing you. I don't mean to be sexually harassing you. I'm just telling you something. God bless. If you're in your mid-40s and you got kids, you know, you're looking great. God bless.
When was the turn? Like, if you look back now, when was the turn? Because, you know, as I mentioned, I talked to Richard Reeves about this. I think that this is a really important issue that you're highlighting. But when did it become difficult to raise a young man for boys? Like, there was a definite turn where, you know, society just made things difficult for
the culture changed. The culture said that if you're a white guy, even if you're
that's what I'm getting to,
even
right?
if you're a mocha guy, okay, because you're a guy, so you got an outdoor plumbing fixture, so the world's easier for you. It's a man's world, and so there's this cultural reversion of this pendulum swing.
Is it swinging back now?
I don't think so. No, not yet. No, because if you go to NYU, Scott Galloway teaches there. There are 75 affinity groups. There's a lesbian affinity group, a gay men affinity group, an Asian woman affinity group, a white woman affinity group. There's no white male affinity group. 75 different affinity groups, no white male affinity group. You know, my
God forbid.
I don't even want to name the school, but there's schools that they have an orientation for the freshmen, and if you're a white male, they tell you about your white privilege. And they say, look, you know, you've got white privilege, and you should be ashamed of this, and you have to be very sensitive to these other ethnic groups or women on campus or people that have different sexual orientations than you. Okay, it's a bunch of bullshit to me. Okay? And this is the reason why you got Donald Trump, because he's a backlash on all that bullshit.
To those young men.
Yeah, but not just to those young men, just to the society. You got this asshole, what is like the Tate brothers or whatever his name is.
Andrew.
This toxic masculinity is a role model because it's a byproduct of having an absence of role models. So we have to fix that. We have to have Richard Reeves, Scott Galloway, people like that in the marketplace trying to get men to allow themselves to be men. They don't have to have their balls cut off by the culture, you know, and they shouldn't be apologetic for who they are.
Yeah.
Okay, it's stupid.
Well,
it's not helping. It's not helping the other groups. If you take someone's head and you put it underwater to get your head above water, that's not helping the overall picture. Okay, it's just not.
But there is this level of fear of being canceled, right?
What if you say something?
If you say something wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like
okay, well then see, that's the whole thing. So you got to tell people, "Fuck you." Right. I can't be canceled. They've tried to fucking cancel me 10 times. Yeah. Okay, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna still show up and not be canceled. So go fuck you. Okay, and I think we got to get out of that cancel culture, and I think it's a big part of it because you're sitting there saying, "Holy shit, if I say this or I say that."
Yeah.
Like we got this woman at J.P. Morgan. I guess she's sexually harassing people. There's a joke on the internet like the applications at J.P. Morgan are way up. And people are trying to switch jobs and shit. Okay. Okay. My point is that's funny. Yeah. And it's okay to fucking laugh about it. And if you're not, am I gonna get canceled now because I said that? Yeah. Fuck you. Yeah. You're not canceling me. And I think that's the big message.
So where's the line though? Like where? So you talked about Trump. You talked about Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
There's healthy male energy, but then there's the toxic or what is that then? What is toxic?
You know it when you see it.
Yeah.
You know it when you see it. When you say, listen, I have 4 sons and 1 daughter.
Right.
So let me ask you a question. Who's my favorite?
The daughter.
Okay, well, you're pretty smart. You're a pretty smart guy. I mean, it took you a long time to analyze that whole thing. Okay. And when I tell my daughter, a woman knows immediately the difference between charming and creepy.
Right.
Charming and creepy. You know right away. Okay, and I think it's okay to tell a woman that you have a nice dress on, or that you look great, or you're showing up great. And I don't think, and if they're offended by it, they should probably go fuck themselves. And you can say it in a charming way that's unintimidating and unoffensive. But if every time you say something, there's a microaggression, you told a woman she had a nice dress on, you're now canceled, there's something wrong with the culture.
Right.
Okay, and flip side, women should be able to say, hey, you look great, you got a nice blazer on today, you look great. Yeah. What's the big deal? We've been talking to each other like that for 5,000 years, so now all of a sudden we're gonna sanitize our words and our language and repress our natural instincts and our culture. So Tate is an asshole. Trump is asshole to the 19th power, painted in orange. Yeah. But then there's also people they're nice people, and they should be able to talk in a way that isn't offensive.
We go back and forth on this.
We have to move to rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Yeah. Should we ask about Canada though, real quick?
Just real quick on Canada.
Okay. I love Canada.
What's your take on what's happening with the Canada, the U.S.?
Yeah.
Our move away from.
I'm very biased. Yeah. Mark Carney's a very close personal friend of mine.
I know Mark. That.
Yeah, I know Mark.
Tell him to do an interview with us.
Okay, you want me to?
Yeah, I do.
No. We've been trying through the official channels for a while.
Try to get you in there. I don't know. He's probably nervous. Who knows? No. The title is can't be censored.
That's true. There you go.
Maybe you're making him nervous, but Mark's a really good friend of mine. I think he's handled Trump better than any other Western leader.
Yeah.
And I love Mark Carney. And I would say that Canada is, to me, the role model for Western Europe and the role model for dealing with Donald Trump. Push back on Donald Trump. Canada's got huge resources, and Canada is dependent on the United States economically, but only because it made that decision because it thought that the U.S. and Canada were very close friends and that there was a symbiosis and 1 + 1 = 3. Yeah. Now you've got asshole Donald Trump in the mix, and he wants to, because he's a slave to Vladimir Putin, he wants to destroy all of our natural alliances in America. And I think Carney's right to pivot away because it's sending a message that we can learn how to be unreliant on you if necessary. Now, hopefully, we'll get smarter leadership in the mix in 2.5 years that will help to repair those relationships. But I think Trump has really set back the American alliances around the world. He's heard our vision. He's heard our standing in the world. He's heard our brand. I mean, he's a horrific human being. I mean, you just have to know him personally. I mean, the more you peel back the onion, the more rotten it is on the inside. And so I praise Carney and I praise Canada for what they're doing.
Did you give him any advice on dealing with the president?
No. If anything, I tell people, call Mark Carney, like Prime Minister Starmer, call Mark Carney and have him be your life coach, okay? Have him walk you through what he's doing with Trump. And by the way, and I'm telling you this, and this is something inappropriate I shouldn't be telling you, Trump calls Carney more than any other Western leader.
Why is that?
Because Trump is a bully, and Carney, elbows up. He's a hockey player, and he's knocking Trump into the boards, and Trump likes it because he hates the sycophants. He hates the circle of sycophants. I know this. I used to work for the guy. He used to come onto the plane and look at me and say, "You believe this guy's kissing my ass like that?"
Yeah.
And I would look at him, I said, "No, I actually can't believe that because I would never do that." And I never did that, which is why I'm at odds with the guy.
Huh.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Okay, we got this rapid fire thing we do
Go
at the
ahead.
very end here. Just real quick, answer without thinking.
Go ahead.
Would you ever run for office?
No.
Go.
Go to the next
Who
one.
do you want to see running for president in 2028?
The two of you.
Will there be another Trump on the ticket?
No.
Okay.
How did you get the nickname the Mooch?
My gym teacher in 1972, who hated ethnics, picked one syllable from my last name. He was like a German guy. He's probably like a Nazi youth or some shit, and he hated all of us. So, and we had Polish, Italians. Everybody had 4 syllables. So, the third syllable of my last name is Mooch.
All right. One lesson you think every parent should teach their children before they die?
Get up. Get up. If you're going to get your ass knocked down in life, that's going to be 100% certain. Life is humiliating. Just the fact that you got to age, that the 25-year-old version of me is long gone. Okay? Life is generally emasculating and humiliating. Shut up. Don't play the victim. Get up. Dust yourself off. And if you make a mistake, who cares? Drop the millstone of regret. I don't kick myself in the ass for failing at the White House 9 years ago. I don't give a shit. Okay, get up. Let's go. Let's get to work. Don't play the victim. You got a bunch of babies out there. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that baby.
I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, I wish we could talk to you for 2 hours more. Thank you.
Thank you
Good to
so
meet
much.
you.
Thank you.
Mocha, right? You called yourself
Mocha,
Mocha.
yeah.
I like that. Okay, we're good.
I don't think. Thank you.
All right. Your producer's
well,
laughing. Your
come on.
producer's laughing.
If you like this episode and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you again next time.